In a move to counter China, President-elect Donald Trump announcing a massive private investment in America's AI infrastructure. He says he's secured trillions of dollars in new investments in the United States before the end of his full first day in the White House. Joining us live now is NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao from the White House. Good evening, Iris. So tell us, what is the latest announcement as of today?
Good evening to you as well, Steve. So this is President Trump's first full day here at the White House, and he's already taking questions from reporters for over 40 minutes. And he came out today to announce this massive investment from OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank into this AI center called a Stargate project, and that's up to $500 billion of investment right there. And Trump says the money coming in shows a rising level of confidence in the U.S. And the CEO say Trump is the reason why they're investing in it. Watch.
This monumental undertaking is a resounding declaration of confidence in America's potential under a new president.
As you said yesterday, this is the beginning of golden age of America.
We wouldn't be able to do this without you, Mr. President.
And Steve, AI data centers are costly to run as they will require a large amount of water, electricity, and honestly a lot of chips to keep them running. And Trump says, though, that a huge investment is necessary as China is also pouring in money on top of AI and that the U.S. needs to compete with it. Watch.
What we want to do is we want to keep it in this country. China is a competitor. This is money that normally would have gone to China or other countries, but in particular China in total.
And the previous administration has also made it a priority to stay ahead of China in the AI arms race. And Trump today said that he's keeping President Biden's executive order to open up federal lands to build data centers. Steve.
So, Iris, the president also talked about a range of other topics during his remarks. Tell us more about what he's revealing.
Sure. So Trump also talked about a variety of topics in answering questions from reporters. And one of the big revealing things that he said was what his plan is for TikTok. He pointed out that TikTok without a permit to operate in the U.S. will be worthless. And he proposes that someone should buy TikTok and the U.S. gets half of it. And in return, the U.S. would give it a permit.
It's worthless if it doesn't get a permit. It's not like, oh, you can take the U.S. The whole thing is worthless. With a permit, it's worth like $1 trillion. So what I'm thinking about saying to somebody is buy it and give half to the United States of America, half, and we'll give you the permit. And they'll have a great partner, the United States.
And Trump was also asked about if he's open to Elon Musk potentially buying TikTok. Trump says yes, if Elon Musk wants to. And President Trump also says that he wants the young vote from the app. Of course, he has talked about before the national security concerns tied to the app, given the app Chinese ownership. And on tariffs, President Trump says that he's discussing a 10% tariffs on Chinese goods based on the fact that China has been sending fentanyl to Mexico and Canada, which ultimately flows into the U.S. here. And he also calls China an abuser, saying that tariffs are the only way to get fairness. And of course, he also made an announcement about his upcoming travel plans. He says he's going to North Carolina on Friday to survey recovery efforts from hurricanes. And he also says he's also visiting Los Angeles to survey damage on the wildfires.
NTV's Iris Tao reporting live from the White House. Thank you, Iris. Ways from President Trump's inaugural speech. We're happy to have on Democratic strategist Theron Bond and Republican strategist and president of Klink Campaigns, Matt Klink, to assess. Matt Klink, Theron Bond, thank you both so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you both. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to play a soundbite here from President Trump's inauguration.
From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer.
Matt, we'll start with you. What is your reaction to this? What type of message do you think this sends?
Well, a couple things. And one, it is a very Donald Trump-like statement. Not only did he make these on the campaign trail, and his supporters and the majority of the American voting public responded to that. But you also have to remember that Joe Biden is literally sitting at arm's length from him as he's making these statements. So he is saying that about his administration, but as he does it, he is literally running over and then backing up the car over the Biden-Harris legacy, saying that today, January 20, marks a radical change in direction for the American voters that they elected in November of 2024, and it's full steam ahead for the Donald Trump agenda from this day forward.
Theron, what's your reaction?
The word that stuck out to me was respect. Yet with the day one executive orders that President Trump initiated, he spoke loudly saying that he does not respect all Americans. On the campaign trail, he talked about being a unifying president and being a unifier amongst the entire country. Yet when you promote things that remove people being able to be discriminated against, when you talk about things that say this particular type of person should not serve our country in the military, when you remove things that help promote voting access, when you remove things that help lower prescription costs, these are not things that I call unifying markers of sorts. And the things that he is doing, also including the things around immigration, these things are divisive issues that he is further promoting. And then not to mention the pardons and commutations of members of the Oath Keepers, members of the Proud Boys. I don't call that a unifying message. And that's not a unifying tone that President Trump is now setting with this country.
I guess he could sneak in a pardon the last 20 minutes of his regime like Joe Biden did by preemptively pardoning his family. I find it rich that, first of all, the American voting public in November 5th of 2024, they've moved on from January, whenever it was in 2021 with the Capitol riots. The only people who talk about it now are Democrats and the mainstream news media. But keep doing it, because all it's going to do is further the number of Republicans who get elected across the United States in 2026 and beyond. I will add also that in terms of talking about the immigration orders, they are broadly supported by the American public. We've had open borders for the last 4 years. We've had more than 10 million people illegally enter this country, including upwards of 700,000 illegal immigrants who have committed other crimes while being in this country. I would love it for the Democratic Party to fight the deportation of criminal illegal aliens. And they're already setting up to do that.
America as a whole is not past what happened on January 6, 2021, which was just 4 short years ago. We have not forgotten that. We know what happened, and what President Trump did was just okay racism at the highest level, and said that if you feel like you want to do that, then you can push whatever issue you want. You can storm the Capitol. You can storm a significant monument in the United States of America, and that is okay. He will give you a pass to do so.
I do want to move on to our next soundbite. I want to play a clip here.
Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
Matt, what do you make of his emphasis on faith during both his speech and inaugural ceremony? And do you think this will serve as a unifying value in his second term?
Look, I think that faith is an important part in American politics, and it has a very important role to play, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. It's indisputable what happened to Donald Trump on that field in Pennsylvania early in the summer of the presidential campaign, right before the Republican National Convention. And I do believe that it changed him, that he did get shot at, he did get hit, and I think it changes a person. And I believe that the majority of Americans, they expect, at least the majority of Americans that voted for Donald Trump, they expect and they like the fact that he infuses God and American exceptionalism about this country into his remarks. And that's a good thing for the American people, not only domestically, but worldwide.
Theron, we saw some significant folks who tend to be associated with Democratic politics, like Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai of Google, as well as Jeff Bezos. Do you think that this comeback has changed how some in the Democratic Party view Trump, and are they now more willing to work across the aisle rather than opposing him?
Well, I think first when we talk about Trump and religion, we have to acknowledge that he's so Christian he couldn't even swear in on the Bible for his own inauguration a second time, and the whole world got a chance to see it. But when we talk about some of the people that were very close to him in that rotunda as he got inaugurated, I don't know that Jeff Bezos would identify as a Democrat, or in today's democracy, the same for Elon Musk, the same for Mark Zuckerberg. And that was evident the day that they donated those millions of dollars to Trump's inauguration day PAC. They've decided to pick their side. It's been evident in censorship that happened earlier today with one of the social media platforms that Zuckerberg is responsible of. It's evident in some of the things that they've said. It's evidence in how they spend their money.
Now, Trump in his inaugural speech also mentioned Panama breaking the spirit of their treaty, and that America is taking back the Panama Canal from China. Matt, why is reclaiming the Panama Canal such an important action for this president?
Well, I think that he's metaphorically speaking about taking back the Panama Canal. When Carter gave the canal to the Panamanians, I believe it was in 1979, part of the arrangement was that America, since we built the canal, we have a special relationship there. And let's just say that for a variety of reasons and over a number of decades, that the Panamanians have become more unfavorable to American trade through the canal, including Navy ships that go through the canal. And they've been much more friendly to the communist Chinese. And I think that Donald Trump, look, and we do have a provision that allows us to take it back if the Panamanians don't live up to the treaty's expectations. You should always take what Donald Trump says seriously, but not take him literally on everything that he says.
And Theron, with that said, I do want to play one last soundbite for you to get your reaction.
We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into.
How big of a role do you think Trump had on the ceasefire and hostage deal that we're seeing, and what are you hoping for in these upcoming years in terms of foreign policy?
What the United States of America has always done a bad job of doing is being in everyone else's business. We're in all kinds of international business and foreign affairs, yet we don't seem to take care of domestic issues first. And that's something that should change, but I don't know that it's going to happen. It's interesting that we went from Trump campaigning on all these changes with immigration and lowering the cost of gas, lowering the price of eggs starting on day one, yet gas is the same price, eggs are the same price, and we've jumped from wanting to buy back the Panama Canal, Greenland, and doing all these changes and 50% of ownership for TikTok. What is he really doing? These aren't things that he campaigned on. These aren't the kitchen table issues that he said he was going to address. So what I want to see from President Trump's administration is getting back to what he actually said he would address, lowering the cost of prices for everyone, and not just giving corporate tax cuts and other things to his billionaire friends, not just dabbling in the globe and saying, oh, I want to wake up today and buy this country. That's not what we need to do. We've got to take care of home first before we take care of anything and anywhere else.
Matt, we'll give you the last word.
Look, Donald Trump has been in office for a little more than one day. He had a fantastic day yesterday with 190 plus executive orders that are making a down payment on lowering the cost of energy, on tightening up on immigration. Well, you can, but it's only been 24 hours.
We're going to have to leave it here. I know it's gotten a little bit spicy and contentious. I really appreciate both of you, despite some of the disagreements. Matt Klink, Theron Bond, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
The Canadian dollar rising and then falling on President Trump's first day in office as the markets brace for Trump's proposed tariffs. Trump did not impose his tariffs on day one, instead saying he was ordering reviews of trade and currency imbalances. The Canadian dollar rose to its strongest level in more than a month as Trump said his approach would be measured, then fell back down when he again promised tariffs. The United States dollar first plummeted against the Canadian dollar, then made a surge coming back. Coming up, President Trump attending a prayer service at the National Cathedral, but later telling reporters that he wasn't too impressed. And President Trump inviting several invited foreign leaders to his inauguration, a break from U.S. history. What did this move signal to the rest of the world? We'll speak with Operations Director for the Center of Fundamental Rights when we come back. And welcome back to the Capitol Report. I'm Steve Lance. More than a dozen Democratic state attorneys general now suing President Trump. That's over his executive order to end birthright citizenship. In total, Trump issued 10 executive orders on border security on his first day in office. NTD's Arian Pazdar has the latest on illegal immigration.
More than a dozen Democratic state attorneys general are challenging President Trump's bid to end birthright citizenship. New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin is leading the lawsuit. He points out that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution guarantees citizenship to all children born in the United States.
For the unlawful order he signed yesterday that rewrote the Constitution, upended centuries of precedent, and denied residents in our state and across this country the right that they have in the Constitution to birthright citizenship.
In Tuesday's lawsuit, the attorneys general argue that the citizenship stripping order falls far outside the legal bounds of the president's authority. The issue could end up becoming the first major Supreme Court case for Trump's second term. And also on Monday,
I will declare a national emergency at our southern border.
the national emergency paves the way for military deployment to the border and the completion of the border wall. Some of the other executive orders include reinstating the Remain in Mexico policy, ending catch and release of illegal immigrants, designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, pausing refugee admissions, and more. By stopping catch and release and re-implementing policies such as Remain in Mexico, those seeking asylum will no longer be able to live and work in the United States while waiting for their immigration cases to be heard. On Tuesday, Mexico's president commented on Trump reinstating the Remain in Mexico policy.
We will not leave people out in the open. So, we act humanely and seek repatriation to their countries in the case of foreigners.
She added that this is Mexico's immigration policy, calling it part of her, quote, humanitarian government. Arian Pazdar, NTD News.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.